Hello and welcome to TFT Worlds, Day 1, Game number 4. Enjoy.
Those names at the top of the scoreboard currently, because those are still very likely the players that are going to get in the following day. Once you build up a bank of points, you no longer have to play those desperate first-rate compositions. You can just kind of vibe out and be like, top 4, good enough. That'll make me the cutoff.
Now we can see the difference between like a Korean player, non-Korean player, right? Once Tex Summers was offered 2 Nidalees, a Guinsus, and a Skarner, he was like, no, no. But a Korean player would be like, yeah, Astrals, let's go, we can do it.
Well, let's take a moment just before we kind of get into things, just to recognize a player who's not in this lobby, but has certainly managed to do very well. Dongil from Korea, coming in first, second, and third. While we are seeing China doing very, very well in our current top 8, we've got a lot of variety in the current makeup of our top players.
And a surprising one, we have to point it out once more. We have 8 players in the top 8. That kind of goes with the name.
Absolutely.
But both Japanese players are in.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Again, one of the things which I personally love about TFT is just how kind and how humble and just how freaking nice our players are. They would rarely find many players who talk themselves up, but Holy in particular, came in with almost no expectations, still in the top 8.
Now, if we look at the Flies bar at the moment, he did find a Karma 2-star and put a very simple Israel Cavalier base in front. He's offerred 3 new augments. They all look very, very bad, especially if you focus on a Fly. But he decides to take Celestial Blessing on. Oh, interesting choice right there.
I want to see what Newt goes here. Offered 2 really strong directional augments in Guild Crest and Better Together. We'll go for the latter, so I suspect we're going to be looking at him going for that Seraphine Graves position.
If Newt didn't play Better Together, I would have yelled there. No! Bro,
Fair,
what are you doing?
Fair, but come on, man.
I mean, well, to be fair, I think players in positions like Newt just really don't have that kind of option anymore to do anything but the very best they can absolutely do. If you check in again with Fly, we've got the Dragon Mancers, we've got the Rage Rings and Guild. We've got ourselves a solid early setup with that Celestial Blessing you noted before. Of course, everybody likes to have at least one kind of healing augment in their mix.
I mean, this composition for Fly right here looks like a very solid base for a Xayah Shyvana composition. He has 3 DPS components, a sword, a crit, and a bow. And he also has a very decent a Rage Wing setup with Dragon Mancies and extra Shyvana. Correction, Sezuani.
They're very often confused.
What's really fascinating to me here is we haven't seen a lot of Rage Wing openers in the past, but when I was watching TOC, it was more common than I definitely would have expected. Unfortunately, I think we're also simultaneously seeing why it's not too common.
Well, I mean, that's, this was one of the big concerns coming to the competition. China has been leading the world for a while in innovation when it comes to TFT. We've seen more players trying to, get into their servers, get into the scene, and try and draw some of that to themselves. But we still assume China are going to be the first for most things.
I mean, it's also an unfair comparison because actually Fly didn't make any items there. And the enemy did have make an item like Edge Knife, so it was a bit debatable. We're looking back to Holly's sport and going for a Archangel's Israel start with a True 2. Is that a True 2s? No, that's a Musketeers, right?
Let's see. What have we got here? I think, yes, we've got the 3 different cards. So we've got also a whole bunch of trades. We've got the True 2s over on the other side of the board for an instant 2-star.
Oh, that's True 2.
Yeah. There's a lot of card augments in the game. We just have to end up carrying them. My Paradise does have something I'm excited to see, though. We've got Lilia in the mix, though. We do know, as we mentioned before, there's a very narrow window when Lilia, with the right augments, the right setup, can be a viable composition.
I mean, we do need to weigh. Having a True 2s is really good for win streaking early, but it does fall off very hard because you will not have that combat augment. We'll see if My Paradise will be able to cover up for that.
Yeah, I think looking into this one, I think Holy looking once again to go for that later game board. We saw how well he was able to play to it in the previous game. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to use Mirage this game. I'm not saying it's useless, but Electric Overload Mirage is not exactly world-beatingly powerful.
I mean, we've got a lot of Guardians, so perhaps it will have some kind of impact later on. But yeah, right now it does seem like we're in the area of building towards the Guardian Aurelian style composition. Not something we've necessarily seen on stream, at least, make a massive impact, but we do know from experience, if you can get there, it's very, very good.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at Newport at the moment. He actually decided to make a Guinsus and is using his augment better together for better tempo. He's also offered early shimmer skills, and the itemization is Investor. This means that he can actually save a beacon, try to go for maybe like a 4-cost 3-star with that, like an Ecos, or he can maybe go for 5-cost 2-star. We'll see exactly what direction Newt wants to bring to this game.
Traditionally, if you pop one of these in earlier, you're going to stick with it for the later stages of the game. It's really bad if you get this mid-game. If you get that Determined Investor, you're like, okay, my unit needs to die 7 times. That's 7 rounds that I need to survive before I even consider putting this on. But this early, it's going to be done by mid-game. Toss it on Nidus when you find her, done.
Yeah, I mean, it's exceptionally good, especially in this circumstance here where we have got a relatively even table. Noel will take their first loss. Summers, Tech Summers, remaining undefeated, coming onto the carousel.
And the only one at that.
Yeah, it's been a pretty competitive lobby so far.
It's going to mean very low economic tempo compared to the previous lobbies we've seen, because in previous lobbies, we've seen some cleared lobby winners that streak all the way into stage 3, get that economic breakpoint going early. This game, very likely we're not going to see that, except the 2 players at the bottom of the board, who I do believe are full loss streaking at this point.
I mean, most of the other games that we've seen today so far in Worlds is that we saw a lot of like Golden-Mancer rods, right? All those rods, but this time it's an Investor. Investor means that the tempo will be slow. It means that people will greed economy. So we will actually see relatively weaker early mid games compared to the previous few games, for sure.
I mean, I guess there's a good chance. Well, of course, we're going to have a lot of players coming in who may not necessarily have the highest level of of understanding of the terminology we're using here. So, Bebe, would you mind just doing a really quick breakdown what tempo is and what does it mean?
Tempo means that they are going for compositions that do a lot of damage to other players during the early game while helping them maintain HP.
So that's high tempo.
That's correct. That's high tempo. So it means valuing economy and itemizations less. So you just slam any itemization that's strong for the early game. You use your goal. You can re-roll once or twice for your pairs. You can level up early for that extra force of nature effect. That usually is the definition of a high tempo game style.
We can certainly see Summers is very encouraged to play that high tempo. We've actually got the shapeshifters, the Beast Den moving in there.
Yeah.
The extra burst of attack speed. That's raw power on the board right now.
I mean, is there any composition that is good right now with like a Beast Den? I can't really think of anything.
We've seen it come up a little bit more. I think generally if you want to go for like a Guild Xayah, because then you can fit in the Shyvana and the Jace for those shapeshifters, position them around the carries that you want to have that attack speed. But it is pretty conditional. We'll see where it goes in the later stages of the game.
I completely understand. It means that he's going to probably use Nidalee and a random shapeshifter, save HP, and then build into a better composition for late game.
Of course, we've got a few other augments to consider here. We've got the Jewel Lotus, favorite of Dragon players, just a 4th item for a lot of these big hitting dragons in the late game. Early on, not going to give you necessarily the huge burst of power, but late, if you get there, you are absolutely minted.
Yeah, I mean, literally any AP composition is like, ooh, free item, right?
Hey guys, 1 cost 3 stars.
Yay!
He's done it!
Never let it be said our players don't like to play to type.
This is going to be my paradise on this board we were looking at earlier. I see 2 Wukong 2 stars. Dare I dream? Dare
you dream that big?
The Monkey
Donkey Kong is back.
Wow.
I don't want to believe. I don't want to believe quite yet, Matt.
Frankly, I don't think I dare, but I'm like curious.
Well, we've already seen it on stream once doing pretty decently. So
I mean, if you look at my parrot's expression right now, he's like, yo, do I bonky?
Why are you doing it like this?
Do I bonky? It is actually very interesting to see. We'll see exactly if my parrot decides to go for it or not. But I would just let it occur naturally. I wouldn't really force it, though, to be honest.
So coming out of stage 2, nobody makes out completely unscathed, but there is one player who's up at the top, Fly or YGQF. Not completely undefeated, but managed to ride a pretty good win streak in there.
Only one to do so as well. We already saw previously, I believe it was Tex with the 100 streak, was shut down, but Fly makes it there with a 4-round win streak. And we see, of course, on the bottom, we have some loss streaks, though.
I mean, if you're looking at Fly's composition right now, it's very, very solid. He has a very decent front line. He has Celestial Blessing for late game. He has Hand of Justice for damage. He's offering Edge of Night for a carry potential. And he is at a 4 win streak with 98 gold, #1 in the lobby at the moment. I feel like his situation is actually something that is to be reckoned with.
This is a Jade angle for Fly, 100%. You've got the Edge of Night, you've got the Hand of Justice. It's perfect starting items there for the Xiaoyu. Maybe add the Siphon, but we see a lot of just vertical Jade in TOC. So we'll see where he goes from here. If he picks up anything on this 3-1 early roll down,
Oh, he's rolling.
that inspires him.
I mean, I don't know if rolling was right, but a Jace is offered. Is he going to pick that up?
Boy.
Could go Guild here. You've got the Zippy, you've got the
What
Jace.
is this? Wait!
Okay.
Is that...
Just hit.
So this is China.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this is how
that's the
Kansas
reason
do.
why they were performing so well. Okay,
Well,
okay.
of course, we've got to remember, while this is a great setup here because they are currently on, I believe, one of the lowest points amongst our players in the lobby, so they've still got a
Absolute
lot
lowest.
of ground to make up across the tournament. They need some high rolls. They deserve some high rolls.
I mean, like, why go for level 8? You can just find it at level 5 anyways, right? Save all that gold.
Why level when it's theoretically possible to get your units at any level?
I mean, I'm really curious, though. Will this signal the other Chinese player Fly to go for a different composition? Because right now, since Kezi has so many Xiaoyus and Siphons already into the game, this might be a signal to tell, like Fly, hey, yo, you should go for a different composition. I have the units. Your units will not probably be like a show up if you continue to go for that. We're going to see exactly what Fly will do in that situation as well, too.
I mean, we've seen it on previous games. If it's suddenly contested in multiple different ways, it's going to slow down a lot. Let's get into our next one. And we've so far have seen gold across the board, so a relatively standard game compared to some of the ones we've seen. Matt, anything jumping out at you, particularly organ-wise?
Yeah, Newt going to be heading there for Rich Get Richer right away.
Ooh,
Not
what?
even waiting for like half a second. He's already on a win streak, 55 gold in the pocket with the bonus from Rich Get Richer. We know that he's going to be going for that diamond hand, so I guess going all in on economy and betting on that late game.
Second win is choice here, right? Yeah.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, we can't use any of the other choices. Interesting setup from Kezi at the moment since he bought
Yes, the 3-unit board, the most powerful dragons in the world. Siphon, Xiaoyu, Twitch.
Okay,
He's a dragon in waiting. He's a dragon in waiting.
Yeah, he'll get there one day.
I mean, the reason why he's not leveling is because since he bought such expensive dragons, 2 Xiaoyus to 1 Siphon is 21 gold. He should be at 50 gold right now, but since his units were so expensive, he just can't accumulate the interest gold.
I do like from Kazu's side of things, we are seeing the Metabolic Accelerator, of course, a really tournament-focused organ where, despite taking some losses, it's still not lost a ton of HP, still staying in the middle of the table. And once they can start putting those wins in, they're just getting free HP every round. That pretty much pushes them into a top 4 position nearly every time.
Not as strong as like having combat augments though, which is where I'm a little concerned. Maybe it'll be enough to get him to that top 4 position, but I think once he's there, he's going to have trouble contesting the other boards with the high caps.
I do believe we're taking a quick look at Lobby 4. Bricks, of course, we're praising them repeatedly coming in, has got the Cursed Crown, currently on an 11-round win streak. This is
my
the
boy.
player we characterize
Wow.
as the wrecking ball that tears through competitions, and they're showing us exactly why.
That's my boy coming in with the first. I can feel it in my bones. Have to check on that one when we come out of this lobby. I'll be expecting an update somewhere in the chat.
Man, the players in our lobby is very blessed not to be in that lobby because that lobby was devastating. It's much more better to be here. Ours is much more cozier, yes, no?
Well, I mean, this was a big question, of course, as it always is. We've had a little bit of experience with this format. We, talking about do we play like Bricks and try to go for domination the whole time? Do we play more conservatively and make sure we get into, say, the bottom half of that top 8?
My turn is not going for the Bonky Kong, unfortunately. Did sell. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm blind as a bat. There's a Wukong 2 and another Wukong on the bench. The dream is alive.
I mean, it's a really awkward situation because he knows that Bonky Kong is what his heart tells him to go, but his brain's like, no, no,
right.
This is Worlds. That's a few brands right there.
Professor Baby. Again, I've really asked you this before, but I want to really get it on record. Bonky Kong, you know he has a place in our hearts. Why does he not have a place on our boards nearly ever?
Because he's weak.
He's weak.
Fair enough.
Can you teach him to be strong, Professor Baby? Can you teach him like
I have no authority over that.
According to the lore, that's Master Yi's job, who's not in this set. He's a bit of a
is that why
deadbeat.
it's not working?
Yeah, he's a bit of a deadbeat teacher, not
Oh,
here
boy.
for a student. We're really disappointed in him.
He's no
but-
Piccolo. He's no Piccolo.
Exactly.
All right, let's get back into our game. We're looking at My Paradise's board. He has a true 2-star into an Ascension. His itemizations are, I think his items are also very Shio-Yu Siphon focused, right?
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, yeah, but they could also go on to a Wukong.
Well, I suppose that's that's the position we're in with the set. Wukong.
Yeah, I think that's literally his strategy, though, right? It's just like, well, these are great if I get to a Shio-Yu, but in the meantime, if I happen to hit Wukong
we've
3.
got the heart and the head presented here on the bench. Say, if I just happen to just trip and fall into a Wukong 3, no one can really hold it against me.
Oh no, I hit the reroll button.
Whoops. Off against Tech Summers, who's going to be doing their best. Now we do see one bow on our friend Wukong there. If that was combined with another bow, I could actually be made to convince them to think we actually are going to see a Wukong comp.
Wow, we're really looking towards Bonky County now, aren't we?
We're all in. We're all in, baby.
I mean, I wanted to, but like the bow usually means that he's probably gonna just throw it away because he doesn't really care about his third item. He just wants that extra attack speed save, maybe a bit more HP. But I really am curious if he'll be able to go for a Siphon Shio-Yu deck. I don't really know. Oh,
One off!
Oh boy! Oh boy! We're here for it. It's finally happening. Look at all that gold. It's just heartbeats away. The king of the beast.
I mean, nobody's gonna blame him if he just accidentally presses it, right? He's like,
Yeah,
oh,
no.
whoops.
Just, oh no, my face has fallen on the D key. Click, 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 click,
The
click.
computer's broken.
But, I mean, we've seen it happen to our players before. Plausible deniability is there. I believe it happened to Selvey. If I was like, well, my keyboard broke, I was trying to press something else, and I ended up with the Wukong.
All right, coming into the second to last game or round, going into Wolves. I'm suspecting My Paradise wants to lose here. Unfortunately, he will natural to level 7 after this round, so the chances of our Bonky boy making it through are very low. But My Paradise, really strong economy here, still above 50 gold, has been for several rounds, just naturaling his way to 7. Will be able to roll down at that 4-1 breakpoint from a pretty comfortable position.
Actually, I wouldn't really give up on hopes on Bonky Kong yet because he is at level 7 and his board is very weak, right?
This means he can't really
Sure.
go for level 8, so he can actually just start. He has to start rolling anyways to find like something that can help him save HP. And if a monkey just randomly
My
passes
Paradise,
by,
we're giving you so many excuses, man. You've got to hit the button for us.
Come on.
Basically, we're playing TFT just one step removed.
Yeah. Oh, Jax, to see you
Oh.
rolling for Jades.
It's the right type of unit. Okay,
Jax
I
too.
thought for a second.
Shio-Yu,
Yeah, Shio-Yu has killed.
Do not sell the monkey yet. Not yet. Not
He
yet.
didn't. He didn't. We're good. We still have a chance.
Okay.
All right, so guys, I just want to take a second again to reiterate where we are with this particular lobby. Because we were talking about the separation of players. So we've got Holy on 15 points in the lobby, and we've got Kuza who is on 4 points in the lobby.
Yeah.
There's a massive separation of players. This is really the time where we need to see our players like Paradise, Kuza, Life is Bad, and Fly. They need to be locking in top 4 positions at least if we're going to keep talking about them nearly at all.
And we're going to start seeing players roll down at this stage. We're watching My Paradise and quietly hoping. So we see Fly at the top of the board on a 9-win streak, 60 gold in his pocket.
60 gold? What about 108 gold for new?
It's fine.
All right, if you go back to the game, I'm actually really worried for My Paradise at the moment because we saw a lot of players already with Shio-Yu and Siphon, right?
Yeah.
I know that Kuz already has one, and Fly has the potential to get one, and Fly is much more richer than My Paradise as well, too. So I actually don't know if My Paradise will be able to hit in time, and even if he does hit, I think he'll be underleveled.
Well, we'll check out, of course, Life is Bad back with the Astrals we saw last time around. We don't have the Protector of the Cosmos going in, but what we do have is an interesting item setup. So we've got the Dual Lotus, we've got an Infinity Edge. This is a Lux that could even hit harder than the Lux we saw in the previous game.
Do you see how strong Bunkas comes out? Yes? No?
Trying to convert us. We still have time as we check in on the other players. We've got a Dragonmancer Karma still carrying Fly all the way through his win streak to 4-1 as the final augments come out.
All right, let's see what we've got. It's going to be gold across the board. Our players should be able to put together their final setup here. So let's take a quick look across everybody and again see if we get anything spicy.
I'm looking at that Dragon Imperialist for Holy. We really went for the Dragon carry.
You guys
last
just
game.
want Dragon
The
augments, right?
reroll.
Hey, I want a dragon!
I want something fun. I want something a little bit spicy. That would have qualified. But now, Holy instead going to be just going for a component grab bag, trying to find his way back into this one. Fly really taking his time with this.
I mean, if you look around the boards as well too, we actually can see 3 Xiaoyu boards at the moment. And Fly, thankfully, he did manage to pivot into maybe like a Deja hybrid. He actually can, but the rest of the players are going to be very contested for sure.
All right, so Life is Bad. Again, one of our players who needs to get the strong finish here. Finds, again, the Protector of the Cosmos. Seems to be, of course, going to be attracted more closely to those astral compositions. We'll keep an eye out for our Lux, as we've done so many times before. So as we see Tech Summers with an interestingly item Xiaoyu there, will be doing a lot of damage, but doesn't have the raw AD as of yet.
I mean, she's slapping, if nothing else. A lot of attack speed there on the back of it, but the slow animation coming out from her using her ultimate means it's not going to get as much value as it would on certain other carries. Manages to prevent the worst loss at the very least.
Tech Summer is actually taking a very heavy loss there, and he also is very far away with from his upgrades, and he is also at 0 gold. Tech Summer seems to be in a bad situation, just like My Paradise, and whereas players, I feel like players that went for uncontested compositions or unique compositions, one cost 3 start them, were very heavily rewarded. Am I the only thing to that?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's wonderful to see the evolution of the tournament meta as it comes in. You know, new ideas filtering in. Of course, you know, it's the players who have those deep strategic banks to call upon who can have that most flexibility to say, you know what, this seems like a tournament where I can bring out a comp I would bring out nowhere else.
We were talking earlier on about how this is going to be a rather low-tempo lobby, and we're seeing that manifest here across a lot of players' boards. We saw Fly not only take his first loss, but he's pivoting towards the Dragon board, and on Newt's board, with all of that gold, rich get richer, he is trying to do much the same.
Actually, I was really surprised that Newt did manage to take Rich Get Richer, but it's actually rewarding him. He has so much HP. He actually has the Shimmer skill like Investor, like a paying off as well too. With that Nikos in this economy, he actually can go for full for Dragon Board, for sure.
Yeah, I do like this as well. We've seen this coming through a few more times more recently. The players, you know, when they're playing, you know, more with the kind of, you know, heavy gold reliance, they're trying to hold on to the gold. So more gold than you would strictly need at that moment to make sure they maintain their gold supply when they level up.
Holy did manage to find a win there, found an Ao Shin. Hopefully this time it will disappoint him less than his former Ao Shin in the previous game.
Oh,
Only time will tell,
wins. Mark my words.
I want to take a quick second just to shout out something which, you know, you can notice with the standings here, or just in the way that some of the players are playing. Summers, who's of course playing in this lobby right now, managing to get themselves a 7th, a 1st, and then an 8th. That's a huge amount of variation for one player to bring in, especially when we saw them at Last Chance Qualifier being our top 4 player. They've really changed the way they play.
I really love how the focus is actually going onto these beautiful Astral like a 3-star like a Eunice. I'm saying this because Astrals don't really get that good of a result in tournaments, so I'm really happy to see a composition like this work at a huge stage such as Worlds. The Astral upgrades did show up a bit late, especially the Lux. The 1-cost 3-star showed up early, but the Lux is the reason why he had to stay at level 6. That's why we don't see much level progression here. We'll see exactly how this goes.
All right, so of course we mentioned we will eventually see a 4-item Lux coming in. We don't know what that last one will be, but Archangels being added on means a huge heap of damage. And of course, it will be spectacular against any comp that puts its main carry in the opposite corner.
Yeah, Diamond Hands are going to be really helpful in the meantime there for this Siphon to tank those Lux shots. You can see him doing exactly that, and then quickly just getting blown to pieces.
Wow, so strong.
This is only the 2-item, well, I guess 3-item version of Lux.
Yeah.
There's more to come.
Oh, I mean, that was really a fair fight because Newt's got like 100 gold in its inventory. So we will have to see. It's just an issue whether Lifespan is going to be able to save enough economy gear for level 9 or not.
All right, let's check in on everyone around the board. Paradise down at the bottom with 27 life, just above with 37. Of course, Fly or YG QF up the top with, of course, one player looking to try and catch up on them.
Yeah, I mean, Kota has turned this game around. Really rough start. We saw him just desperation rolling, but between Metabolic Accelerator and both healing augments, he's found his way to a pretty stable board. And if you think about it, this board just has more healing than any other board. Once a Soraka's on here, you're going to have 4 sources of healing. Celestial Blessing, Second Wind, Jade Statues, plus Soraka, actually 5, because you've also got the Gunblade in the back there for Siphon.
I mean, that is also a really good point as well, too. And the biggest thing about Kazu is not really about his composition. It's the fact that he has 3 other people in the lobby that wants to go for Siphon Xiaoyu, and he's denying every single one of them. So they will definitely get much lower placements than Kazu just because he found first.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we've seen that before, and we've seen exactly what the consequences will be. I mean, I think, like speaking to the larger tournament, now we've seen this happen a couple of times with the Siphon comp, being very hostile to kind of all but one of the players playing it. Does this at all push players away from playing this style?
Well, usually you do want to dodge contested composition if you do want to get top 3 placements. An issue whether you want to get a safe top 5 or top 6, but in this case, there were too many Siphon Shoyu players, and because he found it too early into the game, so players did have enough time to fit something else.
All right, Treasure Dragon will be on the menu, and we've got ourselves our comps finally coming together. Again, Newt still has maintained 100 plus gold. Going to roll that down very quickly, going from 100 down to 225, so there must have been a level up coming in there. Oh no, of course, they're buying out that shop and then throwing it back in again. But post Treasure Dragon, we are seeing the economy is taking a massive dive across the board. Everyone is spending.
The 3 players that I would watch coming out of this round are the 3 ones who didn't spend. Tex, Noel, and Life is Bad. They're the ones who are going to have more legs in their composition, more time to build it up in the later stages of the game. Everyone else is hoping that the lobby ends soon.
Now we're looking at Holly's board at the moment, and oh, never mind. We're actually looking at
this is a
board
big
at the
pivot.
moment, and oh boy, everything is set up. But actually, no, he doesn't have a damage carry. No, Azor, no.
Shyvana is there. She's there.
Right? Good enough, I guess. Then he does have like a Terra 2-star and Shyvana 2-star for damage, but he does really want to find that last DPS carry. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll keep our eyes very close on that Shyvana. She will, of course, take to the skies and drop around that Dragon's Descent. Won't be going after Deja, though, who will be stacking up herself. The front line is good for the time being, but Shyvana's targeting is everything.
This is going surprisingly well for not having a traditional main damage carry like you were saying, Bebe, but just having this beefy Terra with diamond hands and the Shyvana double AP items is apparently enough to break Holy's front line and get through his entire board.
Okay, I'll give Shyvana credit for that. But finally, the Ocean is online, and we can see some really decent laser show going on at this point now.
And we've also got the champion duplicator to allow for some really scary late-game dragons. I have to wonder, though, that Shyvana's doing absolutely incredible work. For the time being, I think Ocean's going to have to settle for just, being a minor part of the equation. I suppose as well, with such a strong front line, that it's very hard to get onto that Shyvana.
I really like that adaptation there. We saw the Rage Blade going onto the Bard, get as many stacks as possible early on, still has an item remover to pull it off later. We got Donkey Kong, by the way.
Oh! You're right, the Siphon and Shiryu were too contested, so My Paradise actually unable to find the Siphon the Shiryu use, just decided, why not? Yo, it's better than a Siphon 1-star, it's better than a Shiryu 1-star.
It's going pretty well, I'm not gonna lie.
I think we are about to enter the kingdom of the Donkey Kong.
Wow,
as he takes down one of our, of course, top 8 players in Holy. I think we are in for an unholy mess of Wukong.
Really excited. Hold on, give me a second. I put 3 question marks next to My Paradise's name. I got to underline it now 3 times to stress that he did, in fact, go for the Donkey Kong.
Now, look at the strength of these 1-cost 3-star comps, right? Killing people
I'm
like
starting
crazy.
to become a convert here. I'm starting to be like, oh boy. All right, re-roll. I don't want to re-roll it, before we even get to the first carousel.
All right, now we're looking at Life's Passport. He's also going for the Astral 3-star composition, but he's not really doing too hot, and the main reason behind that is because his composition, as you can see, is still at level 7, and it's already staged mid like a 5, and the reason behind that is because his luck showed up so late, he had to force himself to stay at level 6 for too long, whereas if it didn't take as long, he would have been at level 8, almost on the way to level 9 by now.
At least Life is Bad does have that ion cannon.
Oh no.
Of a Lux there, who's going to be firing into the wrong corner. I mean, look at the itemization on the Aoshin as well. That's an unkillable Aoshin who will cast no matter what you do.
The weakness of Aoshin is how long he takes to cast. He will be literally unkillable twice in this round with the help
Lux
of that
is
diamond
alive.
hand. Well, not for
never
long.
mind. All right, I had a hope for a second, but that hope is gone. Life is Bad, is out of there. Again, another player who needed a strong performance, and it just did not happen.
Now, the thing that we got to wonder about is who in this lobby is actually capable of getting first place? Is it going to be Newt with the 4 dragons, or is it going to be actually a different player that has a composition that can match that battle power? Because that 4 dragon composition didn't really look that well itemized.
We'll have to keep an eye out. Of course, Tex Summers, one of our players with the highest points in the lobby, is now back on their win-streaking ways. Again, we saw them switch up their style to be much more Feast or Famine. This time, it looks like it's Feast.
And Noel was one of those players that I pointed out as is Tex, who was saving onto that gold when everyone else rolled down. So Tex is still going to have his economy intact and has a chance of capping out these boards in the late game. Look at that, 6-game win streak, 43 gold still. Yeah, he doesn't have his 2 stars yet, but as he gets into late game, he'll still be able to continue increasing this board's power.
I mean, this was a really beautiful build-up from like a Tex. He actually used the shapeshifters then to have a safe economy and HP lead for the early mid-game, and he's slowly building up into Shio and Siphon, which actually can have a chance against Alshin because he can survive damage.
Well, let's see how we do in our next matchup. Paradise is on Death's Door up against the Graves Surfing comp of Noel TFT. Unfortunately, the Siphon will run off to the wrong side of the board, but Graves dashing away from trouble, not his usual speed.
Look at the bunky.
Oh
Look at the bunky.
We can't turn our eyes away.
It's hit the backline, doing so much damage.
One shot to
This
Graves.
is ridiculous. Noel nearly goes down to a 3-star 1-cost unit.
Baby, have we just found the comp that can counter the Graves comp? Is it finally going to happen?
I mean, I swear, Koreans love 1-cost 3 stars. I honestly didn't think it worked, but
I'm getting you a
Paradise knows
sticker
what
for
he's
that.
doing right, for sure.
I love that, particularly with these, when you see the tournaments, you see these events, you know people are going to be making a surge up. If they can drag themselves away from set 8, they're going to be able to make a surge up in Wukong play immediately following this event.
Yeah, we're going to see like 17 posts on socials being like, here's how I play Donkey Kong. And most of them are just going to be dredged up from the beginning of the set. They're going to have wrong units, but it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
All right,
Piece of famine.
let's go back to the game then. Currently, we are looking at a Seraphine Graves composition with triple Zeeks. Not that bad. He also has preparation for the extra stats as well, too, but Noel's actually been losing most of his matchups. That's actually very surprising. Could this be the end of the Seraphine Graves regime?
Not looking like it at the moment, as the Graves is just tearing through the front line. Yasuo going to do a lot in the meantime, but that is everyone but the Deja down here for Fly's board, and he will take a loss and a 6th place in this lobby.
Never mind, it's still OP. As if.
You can't spell nope without OP.
Speaking of,
no. Well, so that's going to be our top 2 players both taking a loss of that previous round. We've got the 3 players at the bottom who are still very precarious, but apparently it's still going to be very tightly contested heading into the end of this particular game.
and we can see our players are starting to recover their economy as well. Kota, who is one of the players who's rolled down the most, spent $1 billion gold with no economy, has started to recover at 34 gold.
Another thing we have notified here is that currently it is actually a 3 itemization creeps. So players that actually have those extra carry spots to use these itemizations will be at an advantage compared to those who do not, because having 3 items that show up at creeps is actually a huge difference to composition power strength.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, we've got a couple of aura items, which certainly gives a little bit more flexibility. Maybe not the ideal items, but it does at least throw, you know, the kind of monkey wrench in there, if you pardon the term, for this late game that we're going to be having so much more to work with. You noted we've got Newt, who has got places for these items, and you know, with this many dragons, we've got a massive, massive front line, along with that, of course, a completely unkillable Ao-Shin 2.
Right now, I'm looking at Newsport at the moment, and I'm slightly worried because he still has Itis in the composition, which actually does nothing at this point in the game. And I'm not sure if Ao-Shin 2-star will have enough damage against all these like Mystic pick like lobbies. So we'll see exactly what his placement is going to be.
Noel is currently the highest scoring player still alive in this lobby. If they can push themselves up a few more places, then they can very likely secure a strong spot heading into day number 2. Tech Somersault is at level 9. Their board is so incredibly strong. Keep your eye out, of course, for the front line to see if they will fall down. I think it's going to be real tight to the end.
Oh,
Graves
we got it.
avoids getting stunned, and he will ride triumphant through the round.
Nice.
Still in danger though, and Newt's 4-dragon board has actually lost a round. The Bonky Kong
No!
is Gonky Kong.
No.
It's My Paradise knocked out, and we now have our top 4, Noel and Newt, holding on by a thread. But just to point it out, my man Kutza up at the top of the leaderboards.
It is unfortunate that the Bonky has got 5th place, but to be honest, getting 5th in that situation was not that bad. The composition was very hard contested, and now we're going to look at Kutza with... Actually, you're right. I thought the Metabolic Star would actually like catch his angles, but it worked the other way around. He's just so luxurious at the moment. He has so much like leisure and like economy to work with.
I suppose there's always going to be some kind of sacrifice, you know, health, gold, or similar. With the Metabolic Accelerator managing to stay on top. Noel, though, is in a precarious spot here again. If they can finish strongly, they will do very, very well indeed. Keep your eye out for that Graves, who will, of course, dance right into the center. The Xiaoyu has not taken aggro on the Graves as of yet, so he can continue to pump out damage. The Ascension kicks in. Graves takes down the Great Idol and smashes through another big win.
Is this going to be a comeback? Is Noel actually going to make a comeback from such a low placement and such a low HP by just finishing his Exodia-ish Graves build?
I mean, the clue was always in his name, Noel.
I hate you. Tech Summers and Newt are both in danger here. Neither have any gold to work with. However, the other players in the lobby are still stuck at that level 8 breakpoint with not enough economy to make it out. My eyes are on Kutza, who has the strongest economy coming out of this, but his board's been taking some L's.
I'm really hoping that Newt is actually able to win his composition because 4 Dragons is very strong, but it is not invincible. One unlucky fight, one unlucky loss could actually decide victory. Let's see how the fight goes here.
Shyvana diving into the backline, interrupting the Graves as Terra does their best to tear him down. 1, 2, interrupted before the third pulse.
Oh, Graves survives!
Shin doesn't hit! There's going to be the thunder coming down and barely takes out the Graves.
Look at Noel's face! That is the face of denial. I cannot believe that's how the round ended.
Just 1 second away from thousands of dollars in prize rewards. That is actually going to be really angry for Noel, eh?
Gonna be happy though, made that top 4 one of the best performing players on the day. So as frustrating as I'm sure that was, still going to be rather chill. Unlike Kutza here, top of the board in this game, bottom of the board overall, 32nd across all of our lobbies.
I mean, I would have been really angry because that was a triple Zeke's Graves serving
Yeah,
combination.
right,
That was a
fair,
first,
fair.
mostly. So it must hurt to get a potential like a first like a loss like that, but that's because the other players played well. Now if you go back to like a news comp,
Well, I mean, I kind of wanted to bring up here as we come towards our final rounds. We've got the Aoshin, we've got the invincibility frames there. How do you even begin to deal with something that strong?
well, the only way to beat something like that is very simple. You gotta survive it. When Aoshin ults, you gotta make sure to have enough Mystics and enough HP on your board to just soak the damage and just hope that it misses the main carries.
Let's see if it happens.
Here come the Dragons onto Kutza's board, and his Dragons are not going to be able to tear through that Terra, as they are absolutely dominatingly tanky, uncontested as Aoshin fires away through the backline. Try as she might, Xiaoyu not able to rip through just yet, and Terra stalls long enough for Aoshin to find a third ultimate, and it will not be enough. Kutza takes the win. Tech Summers down to a single point of HP.
Now that's a case scenario when 4 Dragons can actually lose. The Dragon players' itemizations and augments were not perfect, and if you have Mystics and if you have like a healing with a lot of HP like a unit, it can actually survive the Aoshin ult prevailing in such fights.
Oh boy, so we are down to 1-on-1 for Tech Summers, looking to maintain their position up at the top. Because they're hoping to climb their way up, point by point, round by round. If they get first here, then there will perhaps still be believers in that possibility.
They've got 2 lives here, but if they win this round, they find their way back into the tournament.
Now we see a typical Siphon Xiaoyu versus Siphon Xiaoyu in this set after the J nerf as well too. This is very uncommon. We'll see how the fight goes.
All right, we've got Dragon versus Dragon. The Xiaoyu will be stacking up right from the middle. The Siphon part of the Siphon comp is getting very dangerously low, but not low enough. The Siphon drops.
It's gone.
It's going to be Siphon versus
Oh, it's
Siphon.
first.
The heals come in, and the Dragon drops. You can see the resignation there on the face of Tex. Even if there's a smile, there's still a notice it could have gone either way. What a hell of a way to end game number 4.
GG.
Very, very well done there.